Hello and welcome to Football Fever. We're broadcasting as ever tonight live on Get Vocal, Twitter via Periscope, Facebook and YouTube. So just search down Football Fever if you want to look at us in any of those. If you want to come and join in on the show in the chat lobby, come on to Get Vocal and search Football Fever. So tonight we've got Lee. Evening, Lee. And Aaron. Hi, Aaron. You all right?
Good evening.
And we did have Ralph, but he's just dropped off, so I don't know if he's gone for a poo or something, but we'll see if he comes back on.
He's gone to get his PPE.
You might need it if United score.
So he's back now.
Next, if we're watching the show back later, two of us are West Ham fans, and Ralph's a United fan, and Man United are playing West Ham at home right now. So we're all a little bit tense. And we'll share. So if you hear any sudden or see any sudden reactions, that's probably why. Welcome back, Ralph.
True, mate. Internet went funny.
Glad to have it back. You are in Cornwall, so you know it's good. It's good that the internet goes that far.
Wish I'd done that. Wish I used to do that to Mark, but I didn't.
No comment, officer. Right. So straight on to question number one then. So I'll start with you, Lee. So. On the back of Spurs' 2-1 defeat to Arsenal today, was Jose to blame for the defeat by his tactical setup for the game?
Thanks, Ali. Yeah, cheers. I think he's... I don't think Spurs are doing too bad.
Oh,
he dropped out.
I think we've lost you, Lee.
It's not...
Aaron, what's your view? Did you see the game?
Yeah, no, I did. Yeah, I think it has to be down to him. I think at one stage, what was it? I don't know how it ended, but it was 13 or 14 shots to Arsenal, 1 to Spurs. It has to go down. I'm not saying it's always fault, but it has to go on his shoulders for that lack of creativity and whatnot. It has to go down like that. For me personally, if I was a Spurs fan, which I'd never wish that upon myself, but I would be looking straight away at Mourinho.
So do you? What about the Son injury? Do you think that was maybe something that had an impact, enough of an impact to change the way the Spurs are playing, or should Lamela have come in on not changed it really?
No, obviously, what you think, other than Kane, Son's the best Spurs have got, really, haven't they? And you think that counter-wise, he's superb. You really can't fault Son, so it would have hindered it massively. But Spurs are a big enough side to. You look at any Premier League side now, especially within the top 6. If you lose one of your top players, if it's injury, if it's anything like that, you do need to make sure that you've got some sort of replacement. But you look at those stats, 13-1 at one stage, that's an embarrassment, especially in a North London derby. So you know this is the one game that Spurs really want to win, so they'd be absolutely seething at that. So I did feel sorry for him in the end. I mean, especially at the end with Kane, I thought he had nicked it, but no, I think it's got to go on Mourinho.
Yeah, a couple of good chances. So Lee, you're back on there. So
yeah,
all we heard was Spurs aren't doing too badly, which I think we all agree with. They've been on a great run, but we're a bit underwhelming today. So back to you, Lee.
I don't know. It's an odd one because it's a bit like his time at Manchester United. Plays really well for a while, then they just fall off a cliff. I don't know. I sort of think he went back a long way. When he went to Manchester United, he just seemed to lose everything. He's come to Spurs. I didn't really understand that decision when they brought him in. But that's what they thought to do. He seems to have these really good spells and then spells where they just fall off. Do you remember the first time they played Liverpool this season? Went up to Anfield, scored the first goal, and probably should have been 2 or 3-0 up. They hit the post. They lost that game, and then they immediately lost another silly game. And I think that's the trouble. When Spurs start to lose games, they lose games very quickly.
Yeah. So they were ahead today, weren't they? With a great goal that will come onto the goal kind of later in the show. and kind of against a run of play, but it wasn't that amazing the game up until that point. But then it almost seemed like they didn't know what to do after they scored. Should we go and get another? I mean, that's the deepest I've seen Bale play since he came back to Spurs today. And I know he had Tierney to contend with on the other wing, but you would have expected Tierney to be the busy one with Bale, really. But it seems to be the other way around.
I think Spurs have got a problem when the other side don't seem to want the ball too much. It's the same problem that Man United have had a bit, that you end up with both teams sitting back, looking to hit each other on the break.
Yeah, wasn't really the case today, though, Lee. I mean, I thought Arsenal had, I didn't see the possession stats, but they seem to have the lion's share of the possession and most of the shots. So very dominant.
I know we're trying to blame it on Jose and whatever, but is it just that he's outdated a bit now?
Oh yeah,
and not being funny, you got Arteta who's been shadowing Pep Guardiola for the last 2 or 3 seasons or whatever, and he's learnt to be a tactician himself. Is it that he got his tactics right, and it just outweighed the fact that his tactics were a lot more clever than Jose's?
Maybe on the day, but over the course of the season, Spurs were ahead of Arsenal in the league, aren't they? Yeah, so Jose's tactics, you could argue, are in a better place.
In that case, for the season, then today. But I'm talking about, did Arteta set the right side up? Was that his game plan from the beginning? Because I thought Xhaka had quite a good game for someone who's not really been amazingly, on form for Arsenal. I thought he broke play up quite well. I thought Lacazette had a good game, surprising after Aubameyang was dropped. I thought Tierney's class. At the end of the day, it was inevitable that he was going to become, the next Arsenal's Nigel Winterburn. He was going to become a fullback, wasn't he? He was going to become one of the best fullbacks in the league. He's done it for Celtic at a young age.
He was brilliant today, wasn't it? I thought Smith Rowe was really good as well coming in. He came in for Aubameyang, didn't he?
And you had Thomas Partey back.
Yeah.
Thomas Partey's been phenomenal when he's played for Arsenal, but he's been injured. He's had a couple of injuries since he joined, or whatever.
A few wayward passes in the last 20 minutes from Partey. I think I put on our chat, said, the boy can't pass. It was tongue in cheek.
Is that the travel that, like they said, Arsenal had to travel to Athens and back?
Yeah.
Tottenham was at home this week. You know what I mean? Is it a bit of fatigue, but they still managed to grind the result out?
I think the thing is that it was a fairly close game, 2-1. Either team could have won it. If it had been 3-0 to Arsenal, then you could say, right, okay, there's a bit of a tactical disaster there. I sort of, you get rid of Jose, that's going to cost you a lot of money because he's going to have it in his contract that he gets
43 million, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, right, okay. So, and then who do you bring in? And then that doesn't work. And then, we've seen this club after club. They keep bringing people in. West Ham did it. Moyes is a bit boring. Let's get rid of him. Oh, Pellegrini, he's won some things. Let's get him in. Oh, that doesn't work. And
let's get Moyes back.
Yeah. And now it's working.
Yeah.
And now it's...
You're not getting Pochettino back.
No. But who knows? He's taken a big job. Probably, if he doesn't win the Champions League in the next 2 seasons, he might be out because this is the way it's working now. I think probably Jose, you're right. He is a bit dated, and he's either going to learn in the next season that he needs to move it on a bit, or he's not. And then I think you give him the rest of the season and next season, because this constant chopping and changing. It's not going to work.
Yeah, I kind of feel like, Jose's remit when he came in was to win a trophy. I think it's been such a long while for Spurs fans. They don't really care what trophy. It's a trophy. So a League Cup would be fine. An FA Cup would be fine.
Yeah, I mean,
a Europa League would be excellent, But he's got to win one of them because Pochettino was pretty close to winning the Champions League, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And Spurs under him almost won the league as well. So. Yeah. I think there is that expectation, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Lee, but from the fan base that they were willing to take kind of a downturn in style in order for the fact of that Mourinho was almost guaranteed to deliver a trophy. And then it's, how many seasons do you give a manager to win a trophy, I suppose? If you're not going to, I mean, you might still win one this season. You could win the Europa League.
Well, I mean, I don't ever see Tottenham winning the league. I just don't think it's in their DNA to play the sort of way you have to play, and they haven't got the money. Now, if for example, the sort of money that went into Man City was to transpire, then maybe they could. But I mean, I used to go in the 80s, and Spurs would do this all the time. They'd get near the top, and then they'd lose to Brighton or Man City when Man City wasn't very good. We just have to accept that Spurs do quite well on occasions, but they're never gonna be Liverpool and Manchester United. Their glory
in the 90s
season, they were so far ahead tactically and their players.
Oh, I think we've lost her again there, Lee.
But by Lee.
But we're saying this as well, that you think Spurs are in the cup final of the league cup, aren't they? They win that. This conversation is ill and void because Spurs fans will be happy. Everyone keeps saying that Kane's got to win something. Even everyone talks about in this country that the League Cup's the smallest cup. More than likely, yes, but he's won something.
Yeah.
So if they beat City in the final, this conversation completely it won't be spoken about again. They've won it. Simple as that.
Yeah.
I just like Lee said, I don't think they've got the depth or the caliber to win. Like the likes of the 1-0 away at Burnley or something like that, where you in the darkness of December, where you desperately need to get that result to keep your run of 10 or 12 wins going. I can't see Spurs getting that momentum.
What's changed then? Because you've only got to go back 3 or 4 seasons where there were 3 games to win in the league. You've only got to go back 2 seasons, and they almost, they got to the final of the Champions League, albeit a bit jammily, but they did it. They got there, and you've got to go through the whole group stage. You've got to go through all those knockout games, and credit to Spurs, they did that, didn't they?
Yeah, but they had a manager who was a player for years and years. Quite a successful one. I wouldn't say successful Argentinian, but he was a decent player. He played at decent clubs, whatever, PSG, etc. He was a good manager. So Eriksen and all, he managed the right way. Dele Alli, he managed the right way. Jose seems to be like, well, Ali's lazy, bang, get him. You drop for 10, 15 games. that Pochettino wouldn't have done that. I think Pochettino would have took Ali to the side. He would have managed him a little bit differently. He'd have encouraged him a bit more, made him feel a bit more special. I think that's why the atmosphere for that season when they got to the Champions League final was a lot different than what you can always sense there's an atmosphere with Jose at a club where if it don't go right, he would sell his players down the river. So basically,
like he did with Shaw, didn't he?
Yeah,
done it with Shaw so many times.
And Pogba.
Yeah,
it would just be like, well, it ain't working, so they're the right players for me. But Pochettino never once. He would always come into interviews and take the blame himself. He would never go out there and say, "Oh, well, Eriksen had a crap game," or "Dele's lazy," or anyone like that. He would always take the blame if they had a bad game as a club. But he was a different manager. Jose's just. I think Jose's. Jose's 20 years. He was fantastic 10 or 15 years ago at Chelsea the first time. Now he's a bit too old, and I just think his ways are not the modern way. Even like the likes of Tuchel now is what's he done at Chelsea? He's absolutely rejuvenated them, and they're a totally different side. They're just, he's even got this story. They've got secret code word each time they do a phase of play or something in a game, so that it confuses opponents. He's thinking outside the box. When Jose just seems to think, right, part of the bus, bang, counter attack, use our free pace. It's too predictable sometimes.
I do think the business with him picking on players is counterproductive. I think you talk. The thing is now, you turn one player off, you could lose half the dressing room, which is what probably happened at Man United. I think Pogba, he just bought the wrong player. They thought they were buying Pogba as a Roy Keane replacement, and he's just not that sort of player. He's very much a kind of very creative on the edge of the box.
But how Solskjaer managed to get it. As a United fan, I'm feel more pleased with Pogba in the last 6 months or whatever, because he seems to be more of he's someone that you could turn to now to rejuvenate the players around him to get a game, a result. What I'm saying, how Solskjaer managed to do it with a man with limited experience, but yet Jose couldn't do it with a man with...
No, absolutely. Well, I think part of the reason Pogba's looking a bit better is Bruno Fernandes has come in. And for me, Man United bought Pogba, expected him to be one sort of player, a Roy Keane sort of box-to-box player. And actually what he's extremely talented at playing very small little balls around the box. He can unlock defences. But he's not, as soon as he loses the ball, he's not interested. Bruno is much more of an all-rounder. And so Pogba doesn't need to do that anymore. But no, I mean, you're absolutely right. Solskjaer has managed to get, well, so far anyway. I still think Man United will be better off to sell Pogba. But whether they get the money for him now, I don't know.
Yeah, I think in this market they struggle. But they still get north of 50 mil though, wouldn't they, for Pogba?
Oh, yeah.
Someone will pay that for him. Yeah. He's still a class player.
I think the pandemic sort of took that valuation off of most players now. Anyway, what Juventus asking to accept £25 million for Ronaldo? You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. I think the pandemic is going to hit everyone big on the transfer. I think you'll end up picking up players cheap as chips at the minute.
Well, it's a good thing. The prices were getting silly, weren't they? Or have been for decades. But any kind of great leveler of player prices suits us the smaller teams. I've seen West Ham's finances for last financial year came out this week, and it didn't make pretty reading at all. And we weren't even the worst team in the Premier League. I think we were like the 6th or 7th worst in terms of operating losses as a club. But we'd all be moaning about why we haven't been spending any money on players. But if we hadn't sold the players, we would have gone bankrupt. So, and I don't think the fans were really aware of that until the books came out this week. And when I saw it, I was like, my God. Well, to be fair, when it came out with a load of tweets explaining what it all meant, then I kind of got it. But because there was too much understanding there. Really.
The other thing is that it isn't just buying a player; it's paying his wages.
Yeah.
That's why Ronaldo's 25 million, because what's his wages?
Yeah,
600 grand a week.
Yeah. So what? £2 million a month, 24 million a year, and so the finance directors are saying, never mind what money we'll get back on him. It's like Messi, a lot of people in the Barcelona management will be saying, I hate to see him go, but we can't afford these wages anymore.
Yeah. Seems to be the way it's going. Well, we're all right, Aaron. We'll just carry on signing Slavia Prague players.
Yeah, exactly. They're doing us absolutely perfectly, so we'll keep doing that.
In the whole Czech Republic, the Czech ambassador to the UK is now a West Ham fan. He just shares West Ham stuff every day. Gets the West Ham lads to sign the West Ham shirt. He got who's that Slavia Prague striker that we want to sign?
I know who you mean. You put it in the chat the other day.
So he signed a West Ham shirt for the Isla Caton thing. Help Ryan. I'm like, he's signing.
Should be worth even more.
Pay like $8 million for him or something, which would be amazing for how much quality he's got. All right, let's move on then. So question 2. So I think it's been confirmed this morning that Chris Wilder has officially now left Sheffield United. So with so few games gone down and their relegation and almost certainty, were they right to sack him now, Ralph?
The news broke out. What did the news break out? Friday.
Yeah.
It flashed out on the phone that he'd agreed to leave by mutual consent. So once you read it up on Twitter, he'd had a few spats with the board apparently that they wasn't going to back him for his transfer policy. So he pushed through for Ryan Brewster, and Ramsdale.
Yeah.
I think that was their limit. Then they didn't want to agree to any more transfers, and he was sort of saying, "Well, if I keep us up, what's my guarantees next year for signing players? And who can I look at signing?" And they sort of said, "Well, that's it. We haven't really got the finances or anything to do it." And I think that's what it was. They was not looking at the same, not singing on the same hymn sheet. I think that's what it's done. That's what's done it, because it wasn't only 2-3 months ago he came out before a game and said this is his childhood club. He would do anything for the club. He's enjoyed. This is like a dream come true, and I think a mixture of fallouts with the board, I think, has sort of pushed him now to leave. I think he's got no backing. So
go on, mate.
I don't think it's down to the fact that they are. I know they're bottom of the league, etc., but they've had a couple of good results here and there. I don't think it was necessarily down to that. I think it was just the fact that he couldn't get any backing for the next season. I think that's what's done it. I don't think he would have wanted to leave, lightly. I don't think he would have done it just off the cuff for no reason. There's obviously a big substantial reason behind it, and I don't know if it's the right one, because who are they going to get in to replace him?
I don't know. It just seems so strange with this many games to play for a team that let's face it, are going down, aren't they? But that adds a bit of context to it, I guess. I've got to admit, I wasn't aware of any of that. I thought they'd just kept him for a few too many games and then they'd let him go. But hadn't done any kind of in-depth reading of the situation. What do you think, Ryan? Aaron?
You know what? I feel sorry for him, because it was before the West Ham game. Remember when Declan Rice got given a handball in the run-up when we scored the equaliser in the last minute, and then it got caught with Declan Rice, and they come back. Before that game, they said they were talking to him, because just before that game, he'd signed a 5-year deal. And the chairman then said, I'd never sack him for anything. And then they said at the start of the season, when the results weren't going their way, we're not going to sack him. So Ralph's definitely right. Something clearly has happened behind the scenes. It clearly has kicked off. Definitely, if it's about Brewster and Ramsdale, I feel sorry for him, because you think Brewster, albeit he still hasn't got his first Blades goal, has he? But that does not mean that he's not going to come good. You think how many players struggle to get their first goal, and then all of a sudden when it comes, it comes. Especially if they go down next year. Ramsdale will be a great keeper if they're able to keep hold of him. Same with Brewster. We already saw he done it last year, didn't he, at Swansea? So you've got to feel sorry for him. But I know he's a massive Sheffield United fan, and he paid for him as well, didn't he? Yeah, so you've got to feel sorry for the bloke. And because he always seems, did you see, I think not last week before, after their loss, he said that there's a few of the people that he wish he could have got rid of now instead of waiting until the summer. Some people love that brutal honesty from it. And you know what? I bet, Ali, we've been in it a few times with the relegation battles where you want the manager to say exactly what we're feeling as fans. And you could see it, that he said exactly what he was saying. And albeit there needs to be that level of professionalism. But he said exactly what the Blades fans were thinking. And they've been unlucky. But I think it's a very odd reason for going. And no, I do. I feel sorry for him. But he'll definitely be back, because you think he done such a good job there. People will snatch him up, if it be in the Championship or if it be in the Premiership.
But he knows he knows how to he knows how to set a team up, doesn't he? Lee, what's your view?
Well, they had a great result this weekend. They didn't. It wasn't double figures, was it? I think it's just strange all round. I mean, they did really well last year. Good luck to them. They've got found out this year, and it's a weird season all round. Both the club and the manager take it on the chin, go down, and fight again. And I mean, I think, like what I'm saying about chopping and changing managers. Well, if what Ralph's saying, it's like, but then the managers are chopping and changing. It's like both sides need to say, do you know what? Not a great season. I mean, and I'm not picking on West Ham because you two are on. Look at John Lyall. He'd go down. He went. How many times did John Lyall go down with West Ham?
Twice,
right?
Yeah.
And then come back up. He's rebuilt the team, and I don't know. Did they then come up, and did it take them a while, or did they bounce straight back up?
I think there was at least once with Lyall we stayed down for 2 years. I think the other time we came straight back up. But, it's that thing of going down and keeping your manager, isn't it? And, we're in quite a unique situation that after, I think John Lyall was West Ham's, it's something crazy. It was West Ham's 6th ever manager.
Yeah.
And you think we've probably had, I couldn't count, but, it's probably double figures since John Lyall.
Lou Macari came in. He wasn't even there for a season, was he?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the worst ever. That was worse than...
Oh!
Have you scored?
No, fucking Kufa. You're right back. He's just cleared it across the 6-yard box.
That's what he does.
Greenwood's put a ball.
He's the goat.
He's put a ball across the 6-yard box. Got Rashford behind him. And he's just hooked it up.
But we say this as well about Wilder and things like that. But you look, they've got a 33-year-old and a 35-year-old up front as their main, with Billy Sharp and McGoldrick, and they've scored goals and things like that.
1-0. Get in there.
They're not going to beat.
Right, just putting Ralph on mute there. Should have been sent off for that dodgy body check 5 minutes ago, shouldn't he?
But no, I definitely think that you're always going to find trouble when you go to 30 with a 33 and a 35-year-old. Has to be.
Listen. If you're playing in the Premier League and your main striker, all his main asset is running around for 60, 70 minutes and get taken off, you're not a striker. I think he only scored like 3 goals. What's he scored in 2 seasons? 3 goals, McGoldrick. Got his engine.
Yeah.
And put all the effort in his link-up player. But you cannot be in the Premier League scoring 3 goals.
All right, so let's just play devil's advocate for a minute then. So, given that you've got, McTominay just scored. That's how much of a delay I'm on the phone. So you get to the end of last season. You've had a good season in so much as you've been really hard to score against. But you go to the board and you say, I just want to invest in some young British talent so that we can score more goals. And Liverpool, I've had a chat with Jurgen. He's willing to sell me Brewster for 25 million. The board are a bit like, this sounds a bit like Jordan Ives type situation with Bournemouth, doesn't it? The guy's unproven. He scored a few goals down in the Championship. 25, are you sure? Yeah, no, I'll get him scoring. So the board giving 25 million pounds to spend on a striker who comes in and doesn't score any goals, doesn't start hardly any games in the first 6 months. So I'm presuming he's the manager signing, but the manager's benched him. And then put the old timers out and throwing Brewster on with look, Mark Brenton coming onto my Facebook telling me that you're winning 1-0. Go away. I just think that perhaps if Brewster was his signing, then why wasn't he playing more? Why wasn't he starting from the start of the season? If goals from last season, it was evident goals are what Sheffield United needed. And surely you look to your new players to score those.
But then you never know how he trained, do you? I know that's still 25 million, but if he turns up and you see him at training, you think, what have I just spent 25 million on? And then you've got Billy Sharp and McGoldrick, who are complete workhorses, then you're probably going to go. I mean, from what I've seen of Brewster, I would have obviously started him. He's got energy, something that Sheffield United haven't had in the Premier League up front.
Yeah.
But
I just wonder, is it perhaps just another great bit of business by Liverpool where they've offloaded one of their kids that are great in the Championship but never really going to make it to the top level?
Well, it was risk-free for them as well, wasn't it? Because they had the buyback clause. They had first dibs on it as well. So even if he did go off and become a 20-goal striker in the league, well, they've got first dibs on him back. So it was a win-win for them.
It was just a random main target to get in the summer. Ryan Brewster. Do you know what I mean? It was a random. It just come out of nowhere. It wasn't like he was scoring 20 or 30 goals a season, was he? For the last 2 or 3 seasons. It was basically a chancer's luck or a chancer's chance.
I think that's exactly what I'm thinking, and what I think he did. He took a punt and then very quickly thought, "Oh, I've got this wrong. I'll go back to what happened last season." And I think he just got completely caught. And actually, he should probably never have bought Brewster in the first place. He should have thought it's a punt, but what I need to make this solid. we had a great season last season. Chances are it's not going to be quite so good. I need to be careful how I've spent this money. And I think he's gone out and he's taken a big risk. And he's actually, the club are going to pay the price because he probably will get a job back up in the Premier League.
Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. All right, so let's move on to our next point. Aaron, this was your one the other day. So now we know what we know. What are England's realistic chances at the Euros this year?
I think it's got to be down to Southgate, isn't it? You know what? I think it's quite a nice dilemma to be in, but that plane's not big enough for the amount of people that are in form for England at the moment. Especially in the middle of that park, there's so many options. But he's going to have a headache, isn't he? Defence. I think we've got players that will scare defenders. You think how many defenders are going to be scared of Sterling, Sancho, Kane, Grealish, whoever else, Foden if he gets a chance to play and things like that. But it's going to be, I think, at the moment, you look at that centre-back partnership, who's that going to be? And obviously the biggest question is who's going to be the number one? Same as an issue we've had for years. We haven't got a number one that is coming in, cementing his place. I think there's probably quite a good argument to start any three of those and also to drop any three of those. So it'll be an interesting one. But I think biggest question of it all is Southgate getting his selection and his playing right. And injuries, obviously, at the moment, we really do need to hope that no big injuries prior to the tournament.
That was a very elusive answer. How?
That's
yeah, I know. You see, I've tried to miss the actual question. I've tried to miss. You know what? I'll go. Yeah. I'll go semis. That's. I think. But I think realistically, aren't they talking about that it's near enough all going to be played in England now? So I think anything under the semis would be a disaster.
There was talk of that.
I think you've got to be aiming for the final.
There was talk of that, but it seems to have dropped off now. So I think it is going to be in the original venues that they said.
But still, that means the semis and
definitely the final. I think the semis one. Yeah.
If we're in it,
as an England fan and an Englishman, you've got to say, realistically, what you want to win it. We're going to win it, but it's got to be like Aaron's just said. It's got to be down on the positive picking of the side. Aaron's right. We haven't had a goalkeeper, number one goalkeeper, cement his place since David Seaman. You know, Joe Hart was okay, but he was nowhere near fantastic. He was good at club level, but
not a fan of Joe Hart.
No, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm trying to say. Joe Hart was on number one, but he wasn't fantastic. But he was on number one. But then you've got Pickford, who can't even cement he can't even play a game each week without being criticised for something. Same as
Pickford would be my number three personally. He wouldn't be my number one or two.
We've had this discussion previous times, and I think it would be Pope and Henderson as a one or two. You know, but it's got to rely on. Pope would be picked because he's playing continuously and consistent club football, but you pick Henderson on quality-wise. So it's got to be both ways. Henderson's now got to get 10 or 12 games in before the Euros.
Yeah, and then you've got to look as well about who at the moment starts at centre-back.
Well, I've said it.
Another one that we haven't had two good centre-backs for quite a while. I think that at the moment on form, you'd probably go Maguire and Stones. Stones has to be there. And I think Stones defensively is a liability. But if Southgate come in and said you'll be picked on form and not off merit, then he has to stick by that. And to be fair, from what I've seen of Stones this season, he's like a changed player this year. He's like the older one that we saw at Everton. Not saying he's perfect or anything like that, but if you're going off form, it has to be them two. And obviously, I think Gomez would have been there as well.
You can't give. We said this. I think I've said this. Ali's been in the same sort of chat. I think you've got to take responsibility away from Stones, and you just got to let him play without any no leadership. He can't be a leader. He's got to be a partner. But I wouldn't pick. I don't think Maguire's got the leadership qualities to be a good enough centre defender. So
So who would you start out of curiosity? Because I have this
Right,
conversation with a lot of people. Who would you start
On form this
centre-back?
season in the Premier League.
If the
Right.
Euros are tomorrow,
I
who
d-
do you start at
I know
centre-back?
he's got no experience at the minute, but I picked that Conser for Villa because I think he's the best. I think he's the
Villa,
best
yeah, no,
defender.
he,
I think he's
I'd
the best
definitely
defender in
take
the
him.
league, English defender in the league at the moment at centre half. It's Conser. Tyrone Mings is
With who?
with Stones. So I
With
put Conser
Stones,
as
yeah.
a leader, and I put Stones beside him because Tyrone Mings looks like a leader, but he isn't the man that's dictating the Villa play. It's that Conser.
Yeah, I would take Mings, but I would be
He's
very
another Maguire.
disappointed if I
Yeah,
ever
I
had to
don't think
bring him
Maguire
on.
is good enough to be in international level. That's my honest opinion as a United fan. I don't want him as United captain. I want Eric Bailly in there, but we don't never pick Eric Bailly. So
Lee, who would you pick as your centre back too?
Yeah, I think Stones has done quite well. I mean, I'm slightly concerned because Stones seems to his form's picked up a lot since City brought that new guy. Who's the
Diaz,
yeah?
Ruben Diaz.
So you
Diaz,
do need
Ruben
somebody, and like you're saying, you need somebody that's going to be that solid player so Stones can go and play. Maguire, yeah, the wheels are falling off a bit there for me, but he's got class, but certainly his form at the moment's not great, and I don't think his head's in the right place. But I agree with Aaron. I think semi-final. I think the trouble is, I mean, me and Al have seen a lot of England in the Euros and World Cups, and you think, oh yes, this is going to be the time. But what we forget is Germany, Italy, France.
Oh, what are you doing?
They all have better players than us. I mean, or maybe our first 11 is good. But like somebody mentioned about injuries, Harry Kane breaks his leg. Straight away, who's going to replace? You know, these better teams have got replacements.
I think
Sorry.
Go on. Sorry.
I was gonna, I mean, obviously there are certain players that are difficult to replace, but I think for me it always seems that Germany will go to one of these tournaments, and then halfway through, when they're beating everyone, they'll go, "Oh, could you imagine how good they would be if such and such was here?" You know, they've just got the depth, and I think that's what England lack. Their 1 to 11 is not bad. I think goalkeeping wise, I would say that Jordan Pickford is the one problem that Ancelotti has not been able to solve. Because he solved all his other problems at Everton, but he just doesn't seem to be able to sort Jordan Pickford out, which seems odd to me. But maybe he's not a goalkeeping sort of manager.
But I think you're right, Lee, when you say about Ali, about Pickford, right? You think I'm 5'8", so when I grew up, I knew there was going to be two things I definitely wasn't going to be: an NBA player and a goalkeeper. Right? Pickford is 6 foot, so automatically there's an issue there where teams will target it. You think at set piece he cannot catch anything from a corner, and teams will target it. These teams with a big centre back, as they do in the Premier League, they target a goalie, and Pickford will struggle with it. It's as simple as that. And I think if you go in starting a game with him in goal, when you've got instead of Pope or Henderson, for me it's a no-brainer. But he wouldn't be anywhere near it.
Well, I'll finish with I've held on to who would my two centre backs be for England. So I'm kind of in agreement with everyone else on Stones, and my other one, my second would be Michael Keane, just because I think he's class, but he's played enough games for England already, been to a tournament, which I do think is important. You know, you can talk about players being class because they're class in the Premier League, but if you don't bleed them at international level enough before an international tournament, then they can at the levels when you're playing the Frances and so on. So I think should England get past a very tricky first game against Scotland, they should make it out of their group quite comfortably, and then it's all down to the draw naturally. But I think they've got enough attacking flair to get to the final and win it. I think they've got better, more strength and depth this time than we had 2 years ago. And if we can get to a semi-final of a World Cup, then why can't we get to final of the Euros? I think there's only really France and Belgium that are kind of equals or better on paper. Probably both still got a bit of a lead over England, but anything can happen on a game if you set up for it right. So, but I do agree that I think that will be defined by how attacking Southgate is. I think Jay's typed in the thread further up about the danger of him playing too negatively, which watching West Ham's performance tonight, I can certainly sympathise with. All right. So next question. So, do we think are we pretty much nailed on that it's going to be either Leicester or Man U that finish second this season? And if so, which one? I'm going to start with you, Aaron, because you're not a United fan. Come to you in a minute, Ralph.
Yeah, I will go. Yeah, I'll go United. I think United have got it. I think from what I've seen, and you think they've been in this situation so many times, and it's credit to Leicester at the moment that we're still even talking about them, because you think a couple of seasons ago when they won the league, everyone said, "Oh, it's a freak. How have they done this?" But Rodgers, the job he's doing there is completely going under the radar compared to, obviously it's going to be shadowed by when Ranieri won it with them. But my God, to get a team like this who have won the league and then lost certain players and that, and now he's just I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. The centre back at Leicester, Fofana, the French young lad. My God, he's unreal. I know we tried to get him. What a player! What an unbelievable player! And I think because of they're not going to win the league, but by the looks of it, they will get the Champions League spot. What a job! But no, I think United. I think it'll be United's overall. I think how they are jammy.
So Ralph, do you think second place is nailed on? You're playing well tonight with the depleted team.
I think if you'd have said to me 10 weeks ago, when we had a bit of a lead on Leicester, and then we had a couple boring 0-0s, City at home or City away, Liverpool, and then Chelsea. Then I think, I do think we'll finish second, but I think it's going to be a bit of it's going to go down to the wire. I don't think it's guaranteed, because Leicester is still there, and it's not like they're getting dicked or getting draws or losing to, Sheffield United who we lost to, etc. So I think we will get it, but I don't think it's guaranteed. I think it's going to go down to the last 2 or 3 games, but I think we'll be there. I think it's either I think we will be the ones that finish second. Yeah. It's not going to be an easy second. I think we will do it. But
what do you think, Lee?
I think Man United should just have enough. I think if Bruno Fernandes got injured, they might have a problem. But then again, I think if Vardy got injured at Leicester, so I think it'll be a good test of how much Man United can dig in, because it might be a case of having to dig in and get some results. Those Burnley away and things like that, where nobody really fancies it, but you've got to go and get a win. So I think probably Man United, but I do agree with Aaron. I think Brendan Rodgers has done a great job there.
I think it's worth. But sorry, Lee.
I think for Leicester though, it's difficult when you keep coming 3rd and 4th and 5th behind the big teams, because eventually your players are going to get worn down with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I was a Leicester fan, I'd be delighted with where they are this season, given when they won the league. I think the fans, saw it as a bit of a one-off. Really, didn't see themselves repeating anything like it. So I think any season they're getting into Europe is a great season for them. Because under normal circumstances, at least, all those, glorious away days to, great capital cities in Europe and all of that is, very exciting, especially if you live in Leicester.
Well, they're on. I mean, they're on the verge of breaking into the top six.
Yeah, they are.
Aren't they? Because really, they can make an argument. Spurs and Arsenal aren't in the top six anymore.
I think Leicester are in that position now where they've got real pulling power when they're signing players. We had Casper on in the old show quite early on, whose son was in Leicester Academy at the time, and what he was saying, about Leicester was very astute signings, but when they do, when they only sign, they're very good at attracting and finding good talent, and then those players just want to come and play football for Leicester because they like the ethos of the club. The chairman, bought state-of-the-art training facilities there. They heavily invested in their academy players, so on and so forth. So it is a really attractive club to go and play for. And Aaron, I think you hit on Wes Fofana and West Ham trying to sign him last summer. Realistically, if you're a professional from a foreign country you don't know either team, and you go and see both, who are you going to sign for? It's going to be Leicester every time, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, look at our nice big Leeds Stadium next to Westfield.
That hurts, but yeah, it's true.
Not really quite the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, too right.
Next to our poor cabin training.
Yeah, so there we are.
Great.
All right. For my top and Spurs, I think United will just shade it. But I do think Leicester have been incredible the last couple of weeks. But without Maddison and then without Barnes, and I thought
2-on-2. Come on. Oh,
good.
Sorry.
She was watching it live because I know every time we attack them, I know we're not going to score because Ralph hasn't gone up.
United had 3-on-2 counter attack.
So I think United will just shade it, but Leicester still well in it. I think Iheanacho was proof of that today, that they keep finding other ways of winning. All right, so I've said already, Sheffield United are down, so let's just so that's 4-on-2 anyway. If let's presume Sheffield United are down, which two clubs are going down with Sheffield United, Lee?
Well, hopefully West Brom. No, I think it looks like West Brom. I don't know. Fulham. I've got a funny feeling about Fulham that they might just. It could be. I think Brighton could go down.
So who you go for? West Brom and Brighton.
Yeah, go on then. Why not?
Ralph.
Newcastle and West Brom.
Newcastle, West Brom. Yeah, Newcastle seem to struggle to win a game at the moment. Got 35 points, I think. So still, is it 35 Newcastle have got, or is that Brighton?
I think so. They're there's I think there's 4 or 5 points between them and the bottom 3 or something like that.
Oh no! So miles off. Newcastle have got 28 points, so very much in the relegation mire still. Yeah, you think?
And they're not getting results anywhere, are they? So
no. So you're thinking 10, 11 points really to be guaranteed safety in a normal season. So yeah, Aaron, what do you think? Who's going down?
Well, firstly, it's quite nice to have a conversation where we're not talking about us going down. So I'm just going to enjoy that. Can we just take this for 1 minute and just enjoy this? That we're not talking about potentially us. No, I will go West. I think Fulham will definitely stay up. Right, I think Fulham have done fantastic. Parker, the way he's got them playing in the last 6 weeks has been fantastic. You saw them the first 4-5 games. You thought, my God, you may as well put them in the Championship now. But you clearly have seen that he's gone, you know what, this isn't working. So I'm going to go West Brom, and I'm also going to agree with Ralph.
It's 3 out of 4 for West Brom and Newcastle. I think Newcastle are facing that existential crisis, and I know we talk about not sacking managers, but Bruce should have been gone before Christmas, I think. They not turned up for most of the season. They spent a lot of money on players. And those players haven't performed. Aaron, I agree with you on Fulham. I think what's of particular note is, the loan signings that came in the transfer window for Fulham, because they had spent a lot when they came up, as clubs do.
Loftus-Cheek.
But yeah. I mean, he's been fantastic. And anyone that's come into the side has just looked apart. And they're a bit like Leeds, aren't they? The way they play, really, really fast paced, all out. Attack, and it's a pleasure to watch. But they've got better at the back.
Oh, he's in the post. You fucking dickhead.
It's not a goal then.
No, he's at the post, mate.
But the amount of games Fulham were drawing a few weeks back, I thought they're going to go down because they can't turn draws into wins, and then they started turning draws into wins. And here we are.
But credit to Parker, 100% credit to Parker. You think that is it? Madja, the one they signed from Bordeaux on loan, looks fantastic. He looks like he just fits perfectly into that side, because you think a lot of them they were, I think. I wouldn't say giving up hope, but I think he's realised that Mitrovic won't keep him up. Lookman, yeah, exactly. And I think, I mean, we nearly signed him, and then when we didn't, we thought, he'd be the player that we could have really done with. But I just don't think he fits the way Parker's playing now. You think with Lookman playing on the left, slightly coming in forward, he looks fantastic, and he's got that Madja that fits in perfectly into that. So no, credit to Parker, and I hope for Parker. Obviously, he's a bit of a cult hero for us. I know that he did ruin it a little bit by joining Spurs, but Parker will always have a place in my heart, because what a bloke. In that,
bit like Noble didn't get selected much.
Yeah, and he should have got more England caps and things like that. Yeah, because there's not many centre mids like that.
His best run as an England player came when he was at West Ham, didn't it? Didn't really get a look in at Chelsea because he wasn't starting for Chelsea. Yeah. And then he was getting on a bit by the time he went to Spurs. And just class player, wasn't he, for club and country. And now it's great. I put him very much in the similar ilk of Stevie Gerrard. Great players that have become tactically very astute managers.
I think the fifth Fulham at the minute is, and I watched it last beat.
Yeah.
Liverpool, is that ginger lad in the middle of the park, Harrison Reed. Engine, he was just buzzing everywhere. He just shut everyone down quickly, and you haven't seen that for a while for Fulham. It's 1-0. Oh no. It's a bit like that. Harrison Reed, he was a bit of a busy bee for Fulham against Liverpool. And I think he didn't like that.
He's on loan from City, isn't he, Reed?
Yeah, I thought he was phenomenal.
I'm just going to watch the nearly goal a minute, Ralph. You're giving me...
Yeah, he drew one back to Souček. He was on the 6-yard line, but he got blocked.
Just waiting for it. So, calls on the show. Viewers. Oh, he's got his scarf from there. Oh. He's got a good defending, to be fair. So I can't really diss it. All right, so let's move on. So... What a Rabona by Lamela today to score a goal like that from the edge of the box. The spin on it, the vision, the way it stuck to the floor like a cheese cutter. For me, put that in the chat box. Everyone's like, what? I've seen my gran score better goals when she was drunk. And but yeah, for me that was a classy goal. Where does it rank in terms of our favourite Premier League goals? Our Bergkamp against whoever it was against, this spinny goal.
Newcastle.
Yeah, against Newcastle. Di Canio's volley against Wimbledon. Is a Rabona up there?
I'm going to be controversial here, Ali. I'm never ever even going to look at that goal again because I don't even think it was that good.
What? Is that because you're so good at doing it yourself, Al?
No, it's the likes of Rooney's volley against Newcastle when he wasn't even looking, he was arguing with the referee. Then you got the likes of Bergkamp's goal. Cantona's little chip against Sunderland. I just can't. It didn't interest me one bit. I think it was just a bit of a improvisation.
Beautiful. And I don't like Spurs. Sorry, Lee. I don't enjoy watching Spurs goals, particularly. In Europe, fine, but on a week-to-week basis, don't like them scoring goals. Don't want them to win. Thought it was beautiful. Lee, you're a Spurs fan. Have you seen the goal?
No,
You need to watch the back tonight
I've
because
got no idea.
I mean, Ralph doesn't agree, obviously, but I think you'll enjoy the goal.
It wouldn't.
I'll have a look at it, but
It's on Twitter now, Lee. Yeah,
Yeah.
tweet it. It's a beauty. Oh, no, don't, because then you won't be on here. Aaron.
It's not.
I thought it was a hell of a goal in that, but no, Ali, I'm going to have to disagree with you, mate. I wouldn't class it as one of. I probably wouldn't put that in my top 10. It was definitely the best goal of the. It was definitely the best goal of the game.
No, it won't even be. It won't even make Premier League years 2021.
I mean, given that one was a penalty.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, I think we're quite clear on that. All I'll say is it's Ali and Jamie Redknapp sat in a corner, KISSIAG. Because Jamie he said he thought it's one of the best goals he's seen in the Premier League after we've been chatting about it online. I didn't decide it because he did. But yeah, I'm going to move on quite swiftly from that one because everyone disagrees with me. All right. So this is to wrap the show up, really. So quite a long question, so stay with me. If your team could win a Champions League place on the final day of the season, but it also meant that your team's biggest rivals won the league because of your win, so they'd already played their last game, they needed you to win, and then they then won the league, would you do it for the Champions League place? Aaron, you're there shaking your head, so tell me why you're shaking your head and who you're talking about.
Not a chance. Not a chance. So I'm 26 and I've gone 26 years without seeing West Ham in Champions League. I could go another year to make sure that Millwall didn't win the league. So absolutely no chance.
So let's presume that Millwall.
It's not even a question for me. Not a chance.
Millwall are never going to get in the Premier League.
No.
And go to what if it was a Premier League rival? So naturally for a West Ham fan, that's going to be Spurs, isn't it? There's not another team it's going to be. So would you apply the same for Spurs, or
No, you know what? I probably wouldn't, and the reason why is obviously Spurs are our biggest rivals in the league, right? But the annoying thing is Spurs don't class us as their biggest rivals, so it's obviously Arsenal for them. So no, for that, I would absolutely do it for a Champions League place, mainly because you don't know when that's going to come back round again. So what you think we had that miracle season under Payet, and where we looked fantastic and we looked unbelievable and things like that. And I find myself daily thinking about that season. So if we're nearly there on a Champions League spot, then I can take Spurs away from the equation. We're beating the Champions League that next season.
So Lee, last day of the season.
Yeah.
Spurs need that TV money. But if you win, Arsenal also win the league. You right with that?
Yeah, fine. Yeah. I'd be quite happy for Spurs to be relegated if Millwall won the Premier League. That'd be brilliant. You can imagine. No one likes us. We don't care. That'd be fantastic.
Jesus.
Yeah, Spurs get relegated and Millwall win it. It'd be fantastic. I
can't believe you just said that.
Millwall would burn their own
stadium
down, wouldn't they?
Is there any way I could divorce my brother-in-law?
No, I mean, I'm not saying that because of the West Ham connection. I just think Millwall it'd be fantastic. Be like Accrington Stanley.
I can't think of anything that makes me feel more sick, to be honest.
Salford City winning the Premier League.
That doesn't bother me in the slightest, really.
Gary Neville's. I like Gary Neville as a United legend, but fucking imagine him all over Twitter. Fucking do my night.
So, Ralph, do you consider United's biggest rivals? Who's the team that you hate the most? Is it City or is it Liverpool?
It's either or. I wouldn't want a Champions League spot for either of them to win the league.
Really? That's it. I find that the most surprising of all. Most years, one of those two teams is going to win it, aren't they? Well, City in particular.
Okay, that's a lie. City, I'm not too bothered about now because they've sort of, they've gone and invested. They've got a backing and they've got themselves enough money to be able to pay the best players in the world, get the best manager in the world. Okay, but Liverpool, I've never known the rivalry for the last 40 years or whatever. It's been, spectacular. Who's won the more cups, who's won this and who's that. So Liverpool supporters are the smuggest and most irritating supporters in the world. So I think, I'd rather not.
And Liverpool supporters say the same about Man United.
I've put up with it for years.
Pardon?
We all say it about Man United, Lee.
I just can't stand the smugness.
We all say it about Man United fans, Lee.
It'll be another 30 years now until they win another one. I'd rather not have the Champions League for Liverpool to win it. So yeah, I'd rather give up. I'd rather give that up for Liverpool.
Yeah, fair play. Well, I'm going to buck the trend here because I think because my team have never qualified for the Champions League, I don't think I could be so bitter as to let anyone get in the way of a Champions League place, even Millwall. As much as it hurts me to say it, then it's just a chance to play in Europe.
Well, don't make out you're some sort of hero. I said I'd let Spurs go down for Millwall.
Yeah, for some kind of pleasure. I'm purely doing it for the self-interest of my football club. Nothing else. Nothing else at all. Because I love them. How long is it to full time, Ralph? Because I can't see the timer on my screen. On my
2
phone.
minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes plus stoppage.
Right. Probably need to keep the show going on those 2 minutes then, don't we?
Yeah.
So did I? Oh no, I did have a point. So lots of rumours in the papers this morning about Nick Pope going to Man United in the summer, or United interest in Nick Pope. Is that? I mean, it might just be gossip, which happens, all the time. But is there any sense in that at all when you've got Henderson and De Gea, Ralph?
Well, it's daft, isn't it? We're doing exactly what we've just done this year. Henderson had a good year with Sheffield United last year. We've gone and brought him back to the club, and we've given him 12 games.
Yeah.
We're doing exactly the same now with Nick Pope. What are we going to do? Bring him back, put him third in line underneath Henderson and De Gea, or do you get rid of De Gea to get rid of Henderson? What are you going to do?
Can I just make a point? I think it makes perfect sense having three goalkeepers, not on the bench but playing. Perfect. You're not going to concede any more goals, are you?
I don't know. I mean, that'd be quite a lot to spend on gloves, wouldn't it?
Well, we've also been linked that we're going to go for the AC Milan goalkeeper, Donnarumma, whatever he's called.
How old is he?
22, 21. Yeah, 21, isn't he?
No, he's only 20. He was
the
the youngest
son of another
ever
keeper called
AC Milan
Donnarumma?
goalkeeper, wasn't he? I think he was their first team goalkeeper at 17.
Oh, right.
No, it's his brother.
Right.
His brother is on the AC Milan bench while he's the number one.
Yeah, 17, 16, 17.
But yeah, I think he was the AC Milan
he's about
goalkeeper
20. He's about
from
20,
17.
21, I think.
Yeah.
He's not very old.
Yeah.
But then what do you do? You put Henderson back for £100,000 a week. You've given him a 5-year contract. Yet within the first season, you've only played him a handful of times, and you're willing to drop him to sign another goalkeeper from a team that are 10, 15 places below us, or whatever, 12 places below us. What's the concept? Why don't you just stick?
And a keeper that's not definitely...
Yeah.
He's not miles ahead or miles behind, is he? They're very similar stature. I don't think anyone would go, oh, Pope and Henderson, and then someone go, oh, Henderson's miles better, or vice versa. So they're two goalkeepers that are very similar in stats. So neither, especially at their ages, would be happy to just sit there on the bench and things like that. It's a very odd one. But like Ralph
Sorry,
said,
Andy,
unless they're
playing...
Some gossip pages this morning, so on the BBC.
Yeah, I think that's people making mischief. I think that's somebody looking for a move, and they're just stirring the pot. I don't think Man United need to be worried
He
about
has.
their
He is going to get rid of.
goalkeepers.
He is get. Well, the rumor is he's getting rid of one in the summer. But to me, it's all roads lead to De Gea going. He's 30 years old, 31 years old. You know, he's only got 3 or 4 years left anyway as a goalkeeper. You either keep Anderson now and make him a. You know, it's all right. You conceded 1 goal in the week against AC Milan last minute, but he ain't done nothing wrong at the minute in the league, and he's played. You know, he's won a Manchester derby. You know, he's kept the clean sheet in the last, I think, 4 out of 5 games.
Yeah.
What more can he do? What more can he
I can
do?
see tonight, every time we try and get to the park, you kick our players.
Yeah,
Jesus.
well.
Sorry.
Oh, well.
A lot of yellow cards tonight, eh?
Yeah.
No reds, though. No reds.
That's another. I got another talking point. I got a point.
Bring it.
Was Lemaire's sending off a sending off? Was it a yellow card, or
Yeah.
was it?
At first, I thought. Yeah, I think at first I thought it was a straight red.
I
And
think
then when
it
I
was lucky to be
replayed
on
it, I was
the
like,
pitch
no,
at
it
that
wasn't.
point.
But he deliberately it wasn't an elbow, but he deliberately smacked him in the face. He looked up and went boom like that. And I think when it was slowed down, it didn't show what he did. When in real time, he deliberately smacked him. So in the face. So he's got to go for that.
What about the thing that's circulating on Twitter with Kane barging into Gabriel?
Oh, did he do one of those again?
Yeah, Gabriel's cleared the ball, and Kane sort of put his shoulder.
Yeah. That was a red card as far as or at least a yellow. It was a horrible challenge. Did it just get missed by the ref at the time?
Yeah, it got totally missed. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it during the game as they showed it back while I was watching up. But
Game over.
Mother's Day, isn't it? So no, I do all the watching up. I enjoy it. One of those. But yeah, it was a horrible tackle. I thought. Do you think it was a red, Ralph, or a yellow?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it's a red. If it was picked out, it would have been a red.
It was brutal. That's the only way I can think. There was no intent. It was nothing to do with the football there. But you know, you want to see that at a derby, don't you? You want to see the players getting a bit wound up and making stupid decisions. And...
Of course you do. Game over, Ali.
Is it? Oh yeah, no, it's just finished now. Yeah,
Ali is done.
1-0. The thing that I said wouldn't happen. 1-0 to Man U because we always score. We had a good go in the second half, though, didn't we, Alan? Not like the first half.
Yeah, it's just frustrating. I think, especially when that's the thing with Moyes' lineup. It was going to end up with pie in his face if we'd lost because we'd set up so negatively. We would have rather, as West Ham fans, gone, you know what? We'd rather go for it now and lose.
We've already got a poor goal difference versus the team
2 or 3
around us.
compared to 1. It's still the same result. We still don't get a point. So, yeah, absolutely. And I think you watching it as well. Noble's legs have gone right, and you know what? It pains me to say that and that, but sometimes he just looked like he. Again, we're talking about a player that is used to playing near enough every game the last couple of however many years. So he's clearly out of sorts a little bit, but I just think we'd set up to have pie on our face if we were to lose. And now it's just a bit of a sort of one, you know what I mean? But honestly, I thought Bowen was going to really injure himself for the first 10 minutes. But the way he landed when he went out for that ball with Dean Henderson, I was pleased to see him get back.
Yeah, luckiest team in the world.
Yeah, United.
He didn't get any penalties tonight. I did wonder when they said there was a last minute change of referee. 20 minutes before the game, they said there's a last minute change of referee, and I was thinking, oh yeah, that's just Salford Mafia, isn't it? We're changing the ref.
Yeah, there's also a brown envelope.
All right, so with the egg all over my face for the result,
the one that Fergie
I'd like to say thanks, guys, for coming on this week. Thank you, anyone that's been listening or watching on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Please like and share the show after the show. No one's going to do it if I keep saying shit like that, are they? I think we had something like 1,700 hits on last week's show, which is amazing. So it's really, really getting some legs. So, guys, really appreciate your time this Sunday, and just ask the same of you if you can. Once we publish the show, you can share it. Same time next Sunday on the aforementioned social media platform. Cheers, guys. We'll stop broadcast. Run away.
Cheers, mate.
Just takes a few minutes. Sorry, a few seconds to stop.
Thank you.